Hey, welcome back to Coffee with Tracey. I'm your host, Tracey Osborne. We're going to talk about courage today. And being an entrepreneur is really, really scary. In fact, doing any kind of changes in your life is really scary. So this is going to be a really powerful episode. Can't wait to dive into this. My guest is Dr. Jewa, and let me read her bio really quick. Dr. Jewa loves helping entrepreneurs, professionals, and creatives break through conscious and subconscious negative thought patterns that hold them back from well-deserved success. As a mindset and transformation master coach, Dr. Jewa utilizes ancient Hermetic principles, modern science, and universal law to tap into the power of the heart and mind. The author of an upcoming book on the amazing human heart, Dr. Jewa has an online practice and live seminar business where she offers a unique perspective on living life to the fullest. That's really cool. Anybody who's been following me for a long time knows that I really, truly believe in universal law, the power of the universe, law of attraction. What you think you become or you attract. So, let's talk about courage first of all, and tell me in your words what exactly courage means to you.
Well, courage comes from the Latin cor, meaning heart, and age, meaning time. So it means time of the heart, or being in time with your heart.
I've never heard that.
It's actually tapping into that power of your heart, being present with that heart energy, so that you can express yourself to the fullest potential. So that's what courage is actually tapping into the highest and best in you through your heart.
I like that. Now, when you talk about heart, I think, most of us kind of start thinking about that, our ticker that's pumping blood throughout our bodies. So, what do you mean by heart, and how powerful can it be?
Well, the heart is one of those things that I think is so grossly misunderstood. We see it as a mechanical pump. Mm-hmm. And that is one of the things that it does, but it's not the only thing. In fact, I think if you were to list the things that it does, that would be one of the minor things that it does. Really? The heart is actually a vortex accelerator, decelerator. So our blood moves through our body in a vortex, like in a whirlpool kind of fashion, a tornado kind of fashion. And our heart catches that blood, the vortex, and then actually redirects that vortex in the completely opposite direction and sends it out through the body again. So just imagine trying to take a tornado, spinning clockwise, and then changing the direction of it so it's going counterclockwise, the amount of energy that's required for that to happen. But the heart is doing that with every pulsation. It's taking blood and changing that vortex. Vortex is powerful in the sense that it's moving in a circular motion. Our galaxy is a vortex. How we move around the sun is in a vortex pattern. If you look at pine cones or nautilus shells, that vortex is a fundamental shape of the universe. And so the heart is basically a transducer of universal energy. It takes that energy that is unseen and helps express it through ourselves in physical form. So that pulsation is just one thing. The heart also is the conductor of the body.
Right.
Most people when you think of what's the most powerful thing in the body, most people would think about the brain, because it helps us think, it helps us reason. But what's little known is that the heart actually tells the brain what to do. There are more nervous connections going from the heart to the brain than vice versa. So there's a lot of instructions being sent from the heart to the brain. So our emotions, all of our activities, how we breathe, how we digest our food, hormonal functions are all governed by how the heart is operating and telling the brain what to do. And so when we look at the heart, I look at it on multiple levels. I look at it from a physical level, being a quote unquote pump or vortex accelerator, decelerator. Look at it from a emotional level. You know, all of our emotions that we have originate from the heart, and then that experience is stored in the brain as memory. And so when we tap in, but the original thought was generated in our heart, even though our brain has stored it. Can you see that? You know, the first time we felt happiness.
Well, yeah, I mean, I'm just kind of like, whoa, over here. Because, you know, I was thinking you were going to go in a whole different direction. So I'm just like, wow, this is actually kind of interesting. For some reason, I was thinking that you were going to like kind of go with our emotional heart versus our actual physical heart. So to think about the fact that our heart controls our brain, which controls our thinking, and you know, you kind of tie all that together, that's really an interesting thought pattern. How do we put this together with you know, defining courage and being stronger so that we can you know, build our businesses, build our lives, you know, that kind of thing?
Well, most people think of business or being in business as a mental activity. And so a lot of strategy is put into place, a lot of systems are put into place, but you can have all the strategy and all the systems in place, but if you don't have a heart-centered, heart is the foundation of your business, then it's not going to take off. And heart meaning that really tapping into understanding what your purpose is and what you're delivering from your highest possible self. You know, what are the gifts and talents that you're bringing? What is the worth that you're bringing and extending out towards others? How are you being the example so that others can follow and want to be a part of that? So when you're thinking of time of the heart, of being encouraged, it's actually being authentic and not copying somebody else or thinking that there's a certain way of doing things, but actually understanding your true gifts and talents and what your expression is through your heart and letting that happen.
Okay.
So I mean, I'm sure that you know, when you deal with people and helping them with strategy, a lot of times it can be a very heady kind of experience.
Very heady. Yeah, it's all up here. So I hear the term heart-centered business or heart-centered entrepreneurs. I never really thought about it. You know, to me, again, I just kind of went to that emotional center, and I tend to live and run my life and business very emotionally as well. I listen to my instincts. My gut kind of makes my decisions for me. You know, if something doesn't feel right and it just continues or it's gnawing at me. You know, for example, I let go of a client yesterday because, you know, it never felt right from the get-go in my gut. And I chose to ignore it, and I know better. I know better. And, you know, and it just wasn't a good fit. So I finally said, okay, I'll listen. And, you know, but I had to get part of not wanting to let go was the fear of losing that money. Right. So, you know, we almost have to have this courage in a daily basis.
Definitely.
And it's something I think that you have to practice. It's almost like you have to practice it.
It's a habit that you have to build up because we've gotten into the habit of being fear-based, you know.
Right. Making our decisions based on fear of lack of money, lack of success, lack of whatever.
Right. And that fear kind of separates you from that heart's place, because the heart in being that energy transducer, the energy that it's transmitting is source energy, you know, if you want to call it God or infinite intelligence or whatever. That energy is the highest vibration possible that you can't even see it. but we are able to tap into that energy, and that energy comes through our hearts, and we express it out in how we perform physical activities or express ourselves. And so anytime that we're in fear, we're actually contradicting the energy of love, which is that source energy. So we're moving further and further away from source. And so that's why it's so frightening, because you're not attached to everything, where everything is. And you feel like you have to do everything. And so it's if you think of a pole, and on the left side, is this my left? Your left? I can't figure out from looking at the screen.
It's my left looking at you, so we're good.
Okay, cool. On the left side is everything, and on the right side is nothing. On the left side is love, and on the right side is fear. If you're over here, of course, you're not going to understand where everything is. You have to go where everything is, which is over here with that heart-centered energy. That heart energy, in order to have everything. But over here, you're in your head, you're thinking that you have to do it all on your own, without really understanding that you have so much help that's available to you. You were talking about you had this gut feeling. Well, I'm going to translate it to a heart feeling. You had that heart feeling that something was not right. And that is what you always want to tap into, that little voice, because the heart energy always whispers. You know, it comes in a whisper, and you know what it feels like when you hear it. Everybody has had that experience. The problem is that we think we know better than that.
The mind takes over, and the mind says, "Oh, not so much."
Exactly. I can do, as opposed to looking at how much help is coming through that's trying to guide you and make it easy for you. You know, everything is over here. Nothing's over here. So when nothing's over here, you have to feel like you have to create something in order for something to happen. And so in business, a lot of people spend their time over here trying to make things happen, when all they need to do is really listen and tap into what is available to them over here, and just let things come through. I know that a lot of people who have some of their greatest successes could not have planned it. It's just like, well, this fell into place, and this happened, and I met this person, and I wasn't expecting this. And that is pure heart energy coming through and making things happen for you.
I think when we're over on the fear side, that's when we tend to want to control everything. And it's, okay, I'm going to earn, $10,000 this month, and I'm going to do it by getting 2 clients at this rate and 5 clients over here in this, instead of just kind of letting it happen naturally. And I know I do this all the time. And when I realize that's what I'm doing, and I can, figure out how to get out of that headspace and just kind of let it go, and just say, okay, this is my ultimate goal. This is my ultimate result. And I'm just going to sit back and figure out how it's, kind of let it come to me. Then it comes to me in so many different ways.
Yes.
Ways that I never even thought of, ideas that I didn't think of, people that I've never met. But it's hard to get out of your head. So, how do we get out of our head and into our hearts?
Well, one of the things that I tell people is to start noticing how their thoughts make them feel. So when you're in your head and you're trying to figure out, I need to make $10,000 this month, just notice what that thought is making you feel. Do you feel tight in your throat, or in your chest, or in your stomach? Is it making you in knots? Well, if that's happening, that means that you are not in alignment with heart energy, because heart energy does not bind you in that kind of way. You want to be in a place where you actually feel light and elevated by the thoughts. I mean, when you are in the zone, and time seems to go by quickly when you're in a task, and you're like, where did the time go? I was having so much fun with it. There's a lightness of being that happens with that does not come with churning and trying to figure things out. And I'm sure you've experienced that before. I'm sure most of the people on this broadcast have experienced that before. When you're in the zone and things are just popping and flowing just the way that they're supposed to, you're in heart energy. just notice how you feel, and you want to recapture that feeling by allowing yourself to not allowing yourself to be present. Because a lot of times what happens when we get in our heads, more often than not, when we're getting in our heads, we're worrying about a future event or churning something that's happened in the past. Very rarely are we being present in what's happening right now, in what is. So a good way of getting yourself out of that mental churning kind of energy is focusing on, okay, what is true right now? In this moment, what is true right now? And just start enumerating or listing the things that are true right now. Well, right now I'm sitting in my living room and the sun is on my face, and I have all my bills are paid, everything is taken care of, I have food in the refrigerator, all those things, because a lot of times we're worrying about how things are going to happen, or churning in the past, what didn't go right to make things happen the way that I think that they're supposed to happen. But if you take yourself out of it, that's the key of it. You have to take yourself out of it, because it's not just about what you're thinking, it's about what's coming through, and being a great channel for that energy to come through and express itself. Because I can tell you that if you allow that to happen, the $10,000 that you planned will be chump change compared to what what is available to you, because you've limited it to this when something else could be so much more available to you.
That's really interesting way to look at it. Wow. Kind of absorbing and processing over here. I do that sometimes, so it's like, okay, I have no train of thought at this moment because I'm processing.
That's fine.
So, I'm sure some of my listeners are listening and they're probably like, okay, this kind of went in a total woo-woo direction. And I get that. Years ago, I would have listened to something like this and I would have been like, really? Come on, give me a break. But I've lived it and I've experienced it. If I hadn't done that, then I would probably still be sitting here going, yeah, I don't think so, honey. So how do we overcome that feeling that, okay, I guess because we're still stuck in our heads, it's like, yeah, really, just letting our hearts kind of rule the world. I don't see that happening.
Well, one of the things that I do, I as you stated earlier, I have an online practice, and one of the techniques that I use is called bioenergetic synchronization technique, or BEST for short. And what it looks at emotional memory patterns. And it breaks those emotional memory patterns so that you have a clean slate and can move forward from there. Because we absorb so many beliefs around money, about how things work, about relationships, about what it is to be worthy of something. And all of those beliefs, believe it or not, came to us from the time that we were born to a time when we were around 7 years old. And we just like sponges and absorb it. So a lot of our beliefs are not even our beliefs, they're our parents' beliefs, or if you're of religious faith, sometimes, going there and absorbing those beliefs. Our siblings have a huge impact, depending on your birth order. If you were a younger child, you absorbed all the things from your older sibling. And so we have a whole lot of beliefs. I tell people that your beliefs create your reality, and that's so true. And all of your beliefs are suspect. Not the ones that you can perceive as bad, but the good ones too could be jacking you up and limiting you. And so what BEST does, it helps break those patterns so that you can go ahead and start creating something new. And form new belief systems around money based on your experience now that you're freed up. Because it kind of clogs up that heart energy. And so it's like polishing off your heart so that now things can go in and be clear, as opposed to muddled with all that energy around what can't happen or how things really are. that kind of thing.
And that energy, that energetic space it's crucial, I think. And that was another reason for letting go of that client, was I could feel my energies just yanking. It just sucked the life right out of me. And I've had this happen before in the past, clients like that or people like that. And as soon as I let them go and I say, no, you're done, I feel more vibrant. I feel lighter. And I guess it's because I'm back in alignment with who I am and where I'm supposed to be going.
Yes.
So, when you have these things that are just kind of yanking at you, you have to identify what it is first of all, but then you have to be able to let it go. And that's not always easy.
Yeah, I tell people that, when we do the sessions with Best, I mean, that's just a minor part of it, because now we've broken the pattern. Now what? You have this empty space now that needs to be filled up with something, and the universe abhors a vacuum.
I was just going to say that. So yeah, absolutely.
So what I end up teaching is I teach people universal law. You're talking about the law of attraction, or which is the law of vibration, which is just one of 7 universal laws. And so I go ahead and I help people understand how the laws of energy work so that they can navigate that. I also do a lot of work on forgiveness, because a lot of us are holding on to stuff. And sometimes we think that we resolved it and on a conscious level, but subconsciously, we are still churning a lot of those old programs, and they're not serving us. So, it's by the time we're done, with what I put together, most people are able to navigate and really understand the power of their heart, and able to navigate their world in a totally different way. So it's amazing to watch, because if you're in your head, that's a total different space than being in your heart.
Very scary up in my head.
Yeah, and so
there's so much stuff going on up there.
Yeah, and so your daily activities, how you go through your day is even different. I mean, most people that I deal with don't even set an alarm clock anymore, because they've structured their days differently, so that it's about moving through life with grace and ease, as opposed to this energy. And you know what I'm talking about when I say.
Oh, I know. So what are some steps that we can take today to, move out of this place of fear into the place of love, tap into that inner courage, so that, we can create a vibrant, thriving business? I'm going to give you, whatever it is.
I'm going to give you a couple of exercises that I give right off the bat. The first one I mentioned earlier is just noticing how your thoughts make you feel. I'm always, well, I shouldn't be surprised anymore, but I always am surprised when people come to my office and I ask them, okay, and I have a list of emotions. There's a sheet that I have that has 140 emotions, 7 positive feelings, 70 negative feelings. And so 140 total. And I have them go through the list and they check off, okay, which one did I experience today? If they put a D beside it, they had it today, a W beside it, if they had it for the week and in the past month. And more often than not, the negative side of that feelings chart is filled up, but the positive side is kind of sparse. And so understanding what it feels like to be happy or joyous or contented or faithful, or anything like that. You have to get in the practice of feeling those positive emotions, because what we tend to do in business is that once we reach a goal, we stand on it for a split second, then we're off to the next goal, and we don't take the time to celebrate our accomplishments or feel happy about the accomplishments. Is never enough. And again, being on this side, it will never be enough, because it's empty and we feel like we have to keep on doing stuff to fill it up. So just noticing how your thoughts make you feel, that's the first one. Okay. The other thing is, okay, how do I get myself off the ledge? When I'm on the ledge and I'm like, oh my God, this is not working, and you're spazzing out, you're feeling anxious. One of the things that you can do, which is so super simple, and most of the stuff that I show is super simple. It's just the practice of it. You know, it's easy, it's simple, but you got to keep on practicing it in order to build up that muscle, that heart muscle. Is a breathing exercise, and it's heart-centered breathing. So what you want to do is you just want to be still and just notice your breathing. You don't have to breathe in a certain way. Just notice. I mean, sometimes you may breathe rapidly. Sometimes you may breathe deeply. Sometimes you may feel like you stop breathing at all, but just focusing on your breath, and then shift that focus into your heart and just notice that breath going in and out of your heart. Just imagine that breath going in and out of your heart. And what happens is that our fight or flight part of our nervous system, the sympathetic autonomic nervous system, is shut down. And now parasympathetic, which is the healing, cleansing, filtering part of the nervous system, can kick in with that kind of focused heart breathing. And that kind of calms you down. Well, not kind of, it really does calm you down, and it really centers you to a place of being able to think properly. Because when you're in that fight or flight mode and anxiety mode, your higher brain centers are not functioning the way that they could, because your heart is beating really, really fast. It's in a fight or flight mode. And again, like I said earlier, your heart is communicating with your brain all the time. And so you would really want to pay more attention to what your heart is doing as opposed to what your brain is doing, because this tells this what to do.
And it does work. Actually, when you started talking about pay attention to your breathing, I did. And I immediately just could feel the calmness take over. And I felt myself get immediately grounded and centered, which I didn't realize I've been very flighty. So as soon as I like felt rooted, I was like, oh, wow, okay, I didn't realize I wasn't feeling, that I wasn't grounded and centered. So it's like an immediate calming effect when you just
Can I add one more thing?
attention. Yeah, absolutely.
The third thing is that I really want people to start acknowledging the help that they have available to them. You don't have to be religious, or you don't have to believe, in a God figure.
Right.
I'm not asking that kind of thing. Is understanding how energy works, and that there is a source energy that we emanate from, and that you can ask for help at any time. It's like a conversation. Some people call it prayer, but I call it just having a conversation. Yeah. And so in that moment when you were feeling centered, it was a perfect time to say, what should I do now? Or where should I go? Or, what should I do? Where should I go? Who do you want me to talk to? And what should I say? What should I say? Especially when you're in an anxious or angry kind of mode, and you know that you need to take a breath and take a moment, and those next words are critical to making or breaking a deal.
Right.
Get to your heart and you say, okay, what should I say? And just take the pause and go from there. It's a perfect place for those kind of situations.
Hard to do that in the heat of the moment.
But that's why you go to the breath.
I'm thinking about my Italian background going, yeah.
But that's why you go to the breath.
Yeah, you got to definitely pause for a second there. This has really been amazing, very enlightening. And it's actually helped me to kind of get back to where I need to be. So I'm so glad. I always believe that all things happen for a reason. So, we were definitely meant to connect today, because I know I've been very scattered, very flighty, living in that fight or flight mode, as client websites are constantly breaking on me this week. So thank you so much for talking to us and for getting me back to where I need to be. So I've really enjoyed it.
You're welcome. And for those people who are looking for a guide, I covered a couple of those action steps that you can take. On my website, drjewa.com, you can sign up for my action list, action step guide to whole heart living. So
is that just on your homepage?
On my homepage.
Okay. And that's Dr. Dr. and it's jewa.com.
Yes.
And we'll have a link right below this, so they'll be able to see it.
Yes. Thank you.
Wonderful. Thank you so much for being here. Listeners, thank you again for tuning in, and we'll catch you on the next show.
All right. Thanks, Tracey.